I don't know if everybody else is stuck in traffic or whether they just got rained up for the day.
Sue's not coming and Chris is away.
Right.
And Paul is not
Paul,
well.
I've heard from, yeah.
Eileen not here today?
Doesn't seem to be, yeah, so
It's going to be early,
yeah, bit thin.
She has to walk on.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's going to be early.
Yeah,
she's not
yeah.
far from me. So.
She could hear if she was. Oh well, this could be us today. Yeah, I will, yeah. So, yeah, request from Mal to just let you know what we have planned for the rest of the year. And I have got a few copies of these somewhere, so I can give these out. So we've got watercolours this month, so the rest of March. April, still life, and that's both sketching and painting from direct observation. So that's like small objects, set things up for yourselves. And that one I wanted to really use, certainly to start with, as a recap on drawing skills, observational drawing skills. If you're confident with your drawing skills, then we'll go straight onto a painting, but I thought it's also an opportunity to that. Then we've got May is clouds, sky and rain, so that's kind of atmospheric things, so more landscapey things. Yeah, we might not have any rain.
We could do it outside.
We could do that. Yeah, June I've got, well the other thing is I could probably organise a few plein air sessions, you know, extra to the classes if anybody's interested, which I did last year, so we will do that. But that'd be good preparation for that. June, I've got animals and birds. So that's the theme that people requested for June at some point. We're also having a break in June for 1 week, which I think is the 3rd week, because I'm elsewhere. I'm painting and stuff. We'll take a break for July and, sorry, not July. We'll take a break. Yeah, we will take a break July and August. So we won't be don't run the classes during the summer. Got a break for July and August. So we'll be back sometime September. I haven't exactly got a date, but it's usually the beginning of September we come back. September we've got flowers and plants. October, seascapes, sailboats and coastal scenes. November, eyes and other human features, drawing and painting. And eyes and other. Yes. I'll give you a copy of this, Mary. Thanks for writing it down. The other thing, there was a request for lino printing Christmas cards. So I thought that's an option for September. So I'll probably pop that in if people wanted that. So that would go in. That's the and/or sort of thing. We'll do lino prints on flowers and plants or Christmas cards.
I've done it on polystyrene and stuff with the kids at school.
Well, that's yeah. We can do that as well.
They love it.
Yeah, it works very well. That's what I use when I run print sessions. You know, introduction to print sessions work very well. Yeah, let's say November sort of features, human features. I don't know if we'll do a whole month on that. So something to do with people. It might be a bit of portrait or figure drawing. And December I've got dance and movements, and also finishing projects and framing and display and presentation. It's kind of wrapping things up. So that was the plan for the year. That was kind of what we came up with towards the end of last year. A bit of a mixture of your ideas and mine. Okay, so that's that. So on to today. So we're into week 2 of the watercolour project. Last week, I'll do a quick recap. Last week, just really, I mean, the idea of this project, this particular project, is lots of quick exercises. So I'm suggesting you work quite small and quickly. So that was the demonstration last week. See you impressed.
I missed that.
So you missed that one. Yeah. Go over it. So flat washes. Yeah, deceptively difficult. And then what you could do with some of the groups also went on to a graded wash, which is that one. I don't think I did that with this group, so I'll do that in a minute. So flat washes, graded washes, and then with the flat wash, the idea then was perhaps do something like you could do an exercise where you're painting something like this one, or this one, some sort of mountain scene where you've got progressively going from lighter tones to dark tones. So that was one of my demonstrations for that one. So it doesn't have to be too accurate. The idea is to keep the drawing as simple as you possibly can, and just build up your experience and mastery of watercolour techniques. And to be honest, going around, quite a few people are really struggling, so I think it's definitely worth, for some of you, definitely worth doing these exercises. So if you haven't done those ones, maybe you do those for half an hour, then go on to today's. So, as I didn't do the graded wash, I'll do a little bit of that first, and then what I'm then going to go on to is painting wet colours into wet colours. So that will be the theme for today. And I'm going to use this image here, and I've got a few examples down there. Right, so I shall use this. Some colours just seem to work better than others. I think purple works quite nicely, so I use purple for the graded wash. So one of the things I was saying is have a reasonable sized brush. Even painting this sort of size, that should do the trick. Hi Liz. And the paint I use is, the paint I've got here is mostly student quality, so it's like Cotman, Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolours, and it's tube colours that I've squeezed out here, and this bit is a bit I squeezed out the other day, and it's still damp in the palette. So I start off by mixing a reasonable amount that I can then add water to try and get that into a graded wash. I suggest having 2 pots of water, one for cleaning brushes and one to keep for clean water for thinning paint. And I'll start here because it will just run down otherwise. And the angle you want is just a very slight angle, just like that. So if you've got a board and you want to just prop it up, with a pencil case underneath it, something like that, so that your paper isn't dead flat, but equally it's not a steep angle like this, because as you'll see in a minute, this will just run straight off. So I'm going to start off with the colour fairly strong. In fact, I'll try and make that a tiny bit stronger. One or two people I noticed had trouble getting the colours strong enough and still getting a nice flat wash. And I think some of the cheaper paints we found you just see every brush mark. So the idea now is to just gradually thin that down a little bit. So add a little bit of water, and so that we can gradually lighten this up as we go down. So this could be, if you've got, say, a sky or something like that, try and soften that out a little bit. And you want to gradually go from dark to light. So this is with a normal round brush. It probably would work better with a flat brush, to be honest. I thought I'd just demonstrate like that. And then, so I'll thin the paint, and then finally I'm just using what's left in the brush and water. So you get a nice sort of darker to light. It's not absolutely flat and even, but that's kind of what you're aiming for with that exercise. So well worth doing, just do a little square. I've got this little mount here, so if you wanted to draw yourself some rectangles. The other thing is I've got some watercolour paper for sale back there somewhere, and there's a guillotine in the kitchen if you want to chop it down into smaller pieces. So that's that. And then onto the next exercise, that's that one. I'll go a little bit bigger with this one. I'm going to use this photo here, which is already splashed. So the idea is like a wet in wet painting. So you've got the option of that up there, so it doesn't get quite so splash. So what I would suggest here is mix your colours beforehand so that they're ready to go. And ideally you want a bit of drag. Like that. So I usually keep a bit of rag or some kitchen roll just to dry my brushes. So clean it and just dry that off a little bit. So for this top bit, I want like a lilac-y grey. So I use this purple I've got here already. Just add a tiny bit of black to it, maybe a little bit yellow. So that can be, and once I dilute that, that should come out all right for that. It's worth having a few bits of scrap paper just to try out your colours on. So that looks quite dark, but when I pop that down on something and choose that bit, it will probably be lighter than I think it will. yeah, that comes out a little bit lighter. It's probably not, still too dark for that, but I can always lighten that a little bit more. So have if you've got any failed watercolours or scrap paper there, you can use those for just testing it out, so just send that a bit more. And then the other colour, this warm orangey colour, this photo's come out a little bit paler than sometimes it does, so I'm going to make it a little bit richer. So mix a nice quantity of yellow. This is a nice warm orangey yellow. And then, so I'll pop that on, and then I'm going to add a little bit of red to it as I go. I'm going to use a bigger brush though this time. So you've got a choice, that should have been there. You've got a choice of either dampening the whole page first, or just work with the yellow quite damp. I think I will dampen the whole page. So I'm just going to get that a little bit wet to start with. So this time I've got this big flat brush that's good for just getting the colour down quickly. I tend to pop the lighter colours down first, so I'm going to go with the yellow first. Add plenty, a fair bit of water to that. So I've got a nice, really like a nice puddle at the bottom there. Again, last week I found that most people were just mixing, just barely getting the paint wet enough to dilute it. So you want to be able to just pop that on like that. Where the trees are, I'm not going to worry about that because I'm going to let this dry to start with. So that's quite pale, so maybe I'll make that a tiny bit stronger by adding a little bit more yellow. When the paper's wet, you can just kind of keep working it. You've got quite a lot of working time. But as soon as it starts to dry, that's when you need to kind of stop. So that can be this sunset area for the time being. Make it a little bit stronger at the edges. Unfortunately, this brush seems to be losing its toughness. So what we'll do is just leave that, let it dry, and then let's try the other one. That might be a bit better. So I'll go in with the purple now. So I like to just mingle. I want the colours to just kind of mingle like that. And again, this is too steep an angle, so really you get a better effect if it's just slightly less angle. I'll work that in gently. And then if I've got some stronger areas, you can see a few streaks going through here. Made that too wet there, so let's just go back into that. You have to be careful not to introduce too much water, otherwise it just washes all the colour out. So use that, and then go back to this brush now. And I'm going to use the paint a little bit thicker, mix a stronger orangey colour, so a little bit of reds mixed in, and into the yellow again. So this is a lot creamier consistency, and I can just get these lovely sort of wetting wet kind of blends into here, and then maybe a few slightly darker purples as well. That might be a bit too dark, but quite often they'll dry slightly lighter anyway. So that, can give you a nice sort of sunset effect. Okay, so far? Yeah. Then the thing there is, you can then, if I wanted to put the trees in now, they would bleed into the paper. So I've got to decide if I want that or not. I'll do a little bit here just to experiment with, but I want to kind of go quite dark. I'll mix some purples and reds in with the black. Just have a little experiment here. Because doing it, I wouldn't mind a little bit of wetting wet. So it'll give me sort of quite soft edges. You could, if you want to, draw the profile of the trees before you start painting anyway. That wouldn't be a bad idea. So that's how it's going to look if you wanted to go straight in with the trees like that. Which isn't, yeah, it might be quite nice. Or if you want to do dry work, I think I've got one that's halfway through here, someone should have got it out there. You can find the, here's the one I started earlier. Version. Here we go. So that's a similar sort of thing that I've started another day. Oh, and the other thing, as you can see, I'm getting a puddle at the bottom there. I just noticed, so it's best to just dry that up. Otherwise you'll get that will run back and it will drain all the colour out. That's that bit, let that dry. This is one I did, I think probably sometime earlier as a demo. But I'll show you how it would look with the trees going in. So this is all dry, so wet paint over dry paint. So I can just kind of get that canopy of trees that work in this area. That goes in, the main trunk is somewhere there. I'm just drawing this in with the brush, which you can if you want to, if you feel confident enough to do that. If you wanted to put a few lines to give you a guide as to where you're going to work, that's absolutely fine too. And this can be, and I'd suggest perhaps work left to right, because you don't want one bit sort of drying here. You want to be able to kind of keep the edges fairly wet. And this is fairly solid, so have plenty of paint mixed and ready. And then just gradually work that across. Mostly with trees, you see quite solid, dense areas, and then you just see little bits towards the edge that are slightly broken up and fragmented, or dots and dashes to suggest leaves. That's quite a nice exercise. All of those are good exercises. I've got slight variations in some of the pictures if you wanted to, like other sunsets if you wanted to do a sunset, or if you've done that one. All good to go?
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay, right.